Alright guys, welcome into another episode of the Queen City Soccer Show. I am your host Cole Godfrey, and I'm joined as always by Level Up Luke. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling pretty good, Cole. We got a big game coming up this week and a lot to talk about. How are you doing over there?
Yeah, man, I can't complain. Yesterday, I went and watched my son. They had a game and won 3-1. And he played left wing the whole game. Had a really, really good game. I got to watch an 11-year-old, or I guess he's probably 10. I watched somebody on his team, man, score probably, I'm not even exaggerating, probably a 20 to 25 yard free kick goal. And it was insane to see from a 10-year-old. But other than that, I got back home and watched the Charlotte FC match, which did not go to plan. And yeah, before we hop into the game, Luke, we talked about on our last episode Coach Smith's lineups and how I seen him kind of attacking this game being down in Orlando and taking it more defensively with his starting lineup, and starting a Junior Urso, Brant Bronico, and Ashley Westwood, more defensive-minded midfield, which he did. He come out with that and said to me when he does that, it's almost as if they're expecting to soak up pressure, which it's a playoff match. It's on the road. I expect definitely for you to be under the cosh just a little bit and kind of have to defend. Definitely that first 20 to 25 minutes where the crowd's going to be, raucous, which, to be completely honest with you, the Orlando crowd was subpar in my opinion. We can talk about that if you want to later, but yeah, man. So, that's kind of what I expected, and that's what happened. Charlotte come out, and, right from the get-go, Orlando was all over Charlotte. It was just wave after wave after wave of attack on Christian Kalina's goal, and yeah, man, it was a tough match to watch that first half specifically, and yeah, what'd you see?
A lot of the same as you, I think. It was not a performance that covered Charlotte FC in glory by any means. I think we were out-coached. I think that the players on the field were outplayed for much of the game. And overall, I'm just kind of left thinking about what could have been. There were a number of decisions that I don't necessarily agree with, from the starting lineup to the subs or lack thereof, to the lack of ambition shown by the players on the pitch. It just seemed like Orlando was the better side on the night, and they had the home field advantage. But like you said, that stadium was maybe half full. It was very unimpressive for a playoff game, and that kind of set the tone for the night, where maybe we were a little bit overconfident going into it. Maybe that team kind of had their backs against the wall a little bit with their loss to Atlanta to end the regular season. It's just kind of a head scratcher. We came in on a great run of form, and they did not necessarily, but they did have a better chance to win. They had I believe what would that have been? Minus 200, I think, was their chance to win, odds-wise, going into the match. So it's just kind of a tough one.
Yeah, and specifically, look at these statistics coming into this match. Charlotte hadn't lost in 5 matches, and Orlando City hadn't kept a clean sheet in 5 matches. And Charlotte lost, and Orlando kept a clean sheet. Yeah. So it's again, if you were a Charlotte fan, it was not ideal in any way. But jumping into the match specifically, again, like we talked about, Orlando dominated the first half. They really did, and it culminated into a Facundo Torres goal in the 32nd minute for Orlando to go up 1-0, and it was, to be honest with you, it was completely deserved. Orlando just, they had realistically, man, in that first half alone, if you didn't have, in my opinion, the goalkeeper of the year in the MLS and Christian Kalina back there, you're probably down. It's probably looks more like a Red Bulls game, a Red Bulls match from the playoffs last year, where you're down 3-0 in the first half and the game's over in the first half.
You
What are your
know,
thoughts on that?
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I was watching the game at Elizabeth Parlor Room with friends of the pod, uh, Charlotte Soccer Show. I had John and Danny Brams and Reverend Burl. We were all kind of watching the first half together, and at halftime, we're not happy. But I was talking with Danny Brams, and I was just like, man, 1-0, I'm okay with it because realistically, it could be 3-0 Orlando right now. We've gotten lucky on a few of these opportunities where Orlando very well could have scored. Some individual mistakes by defenders. I know Melanda had one costly mistake. Privet had a costly mistake. Uh, the back line in general just they're doing their best, but Orlando controlled the attacking momentum in the first half for at least 90% of the half. And I'm looking at the graph here. Their attacking opportunities were very strong. Their bars go very significantly in the attacking direction. Ours do not. There's one spot of attacking opportunity that really stands out in the first half, and that was what do we have there? I think there was a
I think
shot
that
on
was,
goal, one or two shots on goal.
I think you're, yeah, Leo Labata had a really good chance that just went right over the bar
That's what.
in the
Oh,
first
that's
half
yeah,
there.
yeah. And he tried to chip it, and it just like
Yep.
sailed just over the top bar. In the
Yep.
second half, this graph to me looks a lot like the DC United game. The problem is that Orlando was just better in the attack. They created more strong opportunities than we did, and we did control a lot of attacking momentum in the second half, but we couldn't do anything with it. And they still ended up with that second goal that kind of put it away. To me, that's on paper, but to me, watching the game, I still felt like Orlando was the better team, even in the second half. I don't think at any point I felt like we deserved to be winning in the game. And can we talk about the starting lineup here? Because I'm curious your thoughts on this. You got Patrick Ajiman is nowhere to be seen. Karol Swiderski starts. Brant Bronico, Liel Abada, Pet Biel, Junior Urso, Ashley Westwood. What do you think? I mean, and then our standard back line with Privet back in the lineup. But what do you think about that attacking three with Carroll, Pep, and Liel?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I preface this like I said on our last episode. I was expecting this lineup specifically with Junior Urso, Brent Bronico, and Ashley Westwood as the midfield to just kind of again like they went up to DC and they just were Dean Smith when he puts these players out there. I expect more of a defensive posture and. The form that Carroll's been in here lately, I don't mind that. I don't mind Carroll getting the start. I mean, obviously Pat's been in good form, both, and the announcer last night for on FS1 was saying that he would like to see Carroll and Big Pat up
Yeah,
top together. Definitely when you're chasing the game, and I don't disagree with that to an extent, but to just to play devil's advocate on that, we haven't seen a two striker system from Dean. I just don't think it's going to happen. Um,
well, so
but
I was watching the Apple broadcast, so I got a different set of commentary on it. But you know, they they were talking about Carroll. My problem was more with Liel Abada. I thought he had a very poor day. I thought he did have some opportunities, but he lost a lot of possessions. And he just, I mean, it looked like one of the worst games I've seen from Liel Abada. And he has the highest SOFA score rating on the team. I mean, Byrne and Westwood are right there with him. But I think that was from chances created that he couldn't capitalize on. And he lost a lot of possessions and just, he kept trying to do it himself and he wasn't finding any outlet passes. And I think it goes back to coaching. I mean, he seemed like he was just playing by himself rather than with the team in a lot of situations. I agree with you. And just to talk about the Carroll and Patrick Ajiman situation, Dean was asked directly about that after the game, and the context was, we'll talk about it later with Pep Biel's situation. Do you finally start Carroll and Pat alongside one another? And Dean completely dodged the question. He did not address it. He kept it on the topic of BL instead of even going into the whole Carroll and Pat situation. So I agree with you. We have not seen it from him. I don't think he's going to experiment with things, with the season on the line. I think he's going to stick to the formation that they've been playing. But I'm with you. I would like to see Carroll and Pat up top working together.
Yeah, and I mean, so I'm going to throw some stats at you real quick, and
Hit me.
uh, this is to me this is the story of the game. Um, Ground duels won. Orlando won 58% of the ground duels. Aerial duels won. Orlando won 65% of the aerial duels. Charlotte FC only won 9 aerial duels in the entire match. And I'll be honest with you, man. That's not winning soccer. It's just not. And Orlando had their XG was 1.58. Charlotte's was only 0.81. And from open play, Charlotte's was just 0.67 to Orlando's 1.32. And yeah, man, we can go into specifics of players, and it just wasn't a good match for anybody. I mean, like you said, the back line, yes, they were under a lot of pressure. According to FootMob, the highest rated player on the team was Tim Ream at a 7. But the rest of the back line, Byrne had a 6.8, Milanda at a 6, Privet at a 5.9. On that first goal that they conceded, specifically, that's just on Milanda being out of position and trying to track back. He tracks back, but it's a horrible situation for him to be in because he's got to go with either one of the two players, and
Right.
no matter who he went with, either was going to have a good look at goal. So it just being, and I will say this, just to kind of take the heat off of him a little bit. This is uncharacteristic from this back line. This back line has been solid all season, and I don't expect the same performance back up at Bank of America Stadium. I would expect this back line to be what we've seen throughout the season, and not just that, man. But you asked a minute ago about the attacking three, and I will say, if you look at the shot chart, our shots came from the left side of. I mean, almost all of our attacking opportunities came from the left side. So I give Liel a little bit of credit for that, but I do agree with you in the fact that we gotta finish, man. And Carroll's got to finish. BL's got to be better. BL played a 4.9. Now, granted, that is a lot to do with getting the red card, which we will discuss here in just a little bit. But it just wasn't good enough. I mean, you got, to me, like, I agree with you 100%. The first half was you got played off the pitch. The second half, you came into the game a little bit more, but still, you didn't deserve to get nothing from this game. And again, if it wasn't for Christian Kalina, this game was over in the first half.
Yeah. And that's really interesting because I thought Kalina had an excellent game with some very clutch saves. Orlando's goalkeeper actually comes out of the game with a stat of 1.27 goals prevented. So that's significantly higher than Kalina's minus 0.8 goals prevented. Interesting stat there. I thought Orlando's keeper was fine, but what I was looking at statistically was final third entries. Orlando had 44 and Charlotte had 49. So we actually had more entries into the final third than they did. But Orlando had 40 touches in the penalty area and we had 20. So they had twice as many touches in the penalty area and we had more entries into the final third. So I feel like that's telling me that we were not working the ball into the box. We were not making enough out of our possessions, and they were. Whenever they were entering the final third, they were getting touches in the box on average, almost a 1-to-1 ratio. And with us, it's nowhere near that. It's a 0.4, 0.4, and they're at a 1.0. So that's a significant difference in touches in the box per entry into the final third. I just think we need to work the ball into the box. It's the same problem, I feel like, year after year after year. Can we get some accurate crosses into the box? Can we get some players in the attacking third that will work and punish the opposing team close to the goal? I mean, can we just get the ball in there, please, for the love of God? There was one really promising cross that came in, I believe it was in the first half, and the ball just soared right over the heads of our attackers. And if Ajman had been out there, his extra height, he's about a foot taller than Karol Swiderski, he would have been able to connect that ball and possibly get a header on goal. but we didn't have him on the pitch. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we don't have attacking threats in the box unless it's a set piece. And then we don't have a player that can deliver a nice arcing ball into the box. It's these low, really like low plane of attack crosses coming in from the corner. And that's not what we need. You need to get a little bit of air under the ball, give your players a chance to get their heads on it. And it just feels like the same song, every time we talk about these games.
Yeah, I mean, I want to touch on something that you said earlier. Obviously, in this show, we are in Dean we trust. We love Dean Smith. We're glad that he's our coach.
Yeah,
I want to say that right now. I don't want to get no backlash. I want to say that right now. But when it comes to the substitutions, I'm in complete agreement with you. This is a playoff match. You're down 1-0 at halftime. You come out of the second half. I'm not saying make a change at half. I'm not saying I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is for me, somebody who just analyzes the game and somebody who just covers this team and knows this team really well, which obviously I do not know them nowhere near to the degree that Coach Smith does. I could see that changes were needed. We were struggling definitely in the final third, and something had to be done. And to see Orlando make an attacking sub in the 62nd minute and take out Enrique to bring in Duncan McGuire before we make an attacking sub when we're chasing the game,
right.
to me was baffling. It really was. And then, I mean, and then in the 69th minute, you do make a change and bring on Big Pat for Carroll. And 3 minutes later, Big Pat gets a phenomenal look on goal with a header and is saved by Gaise. And it's just, to me, it was something was missing in that final third. And I don't know. Obviously, we can get into this now. So in stoppage time, Biel gets red carded, which means that he's going to miss the match Friday. Now, Coach Smith did say that he's going to appeal it, and we'll see what happens with that. I don't really have faith in MLS in overturning that, but
Let's not hold our
if he
breath.
doesn't, then yeah, if they don't, then you're more than likely going to see Kerwin Vargas out there. And I'm intrigued. First of all, what are your thoughts on the red card? Deserved, undeserved? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so a few things to take into consideration here, and we had differing opinions at our little watch party. The internet has differing opinions within the fan base, and it sounds like even the sports commentators on the networks had differing opinions in their booths. So I think this is extremely subjective. There is no objectively correct answer. Objectively, the referee does have the ability to call a red card in this situation. What is subjective is the judgment portion, and that's where the talking heads are disagreeing. The fan base is disagreeing, and even at the watch party, me and Johnny Hayes were arguing it out because Johnny Hayes says that's a clear red, that's textbook. You'll see that called. You can't complain about it. Excuse me. My thought is the score is 2-0 in favor of the other team. You just watch BL get fouled twice with no whistle. He's pretty frustrated. He's not getting the call. He's getting mugged out there while the team's already behind. He gets pushed into the ground, and he just kind of flares his leg up at the other player. Doesn't make any meaningful contact. Doesn't injure. Doesn't break the skin. Doesn't have any real danger to it whatsoever. There is kind of a flail of the leg in the direction of the other player where you could say, oh, there are studs at the bottom of the shoe. That's attacking with a lethal weapon. Yeah, but it's not really. It's like taking out a butter knife and saying, "Oh, watch out." It just rings hollow when you look at the actual play and the situation in real time. There was nothing to it, and the referee ignored it and kept playing on. And then all of a sudden, just stopped in the middle of the field, turned around and threw out a red card. Like it was bizarre.
Yeah.
But I know they have a little earpiece in, so he probably got a call from the VAR booth quickly that told him to throw a red card. But in real time, he did not stop play really or even like process that as a red. So I think a review should overturn it because the situation, the match was, for all intents and purposes, over. There was like 2 minutes of stoppage left in the game, and you're gonna the team's already down. reduce it to a yellow for the sake of the contest. And then if he gets another yellow card, he'll have the accumulation and you can suspend him. But I thought it was extremely soft because there was no damage done. There was no real intent with it. He was just a little bit frustrated and he threw up his leg, but like he was trying to trip the player. Like it didn't look like he was trying to attack him. Like he was just sticking his leg out at him, like trying to trip him because he had just been fouled twice and the referee's not doing anything about it and the game's over. So in that situation, you're going to make him miss an entire game because the ref wasn't really controlling the match, or I don't know. It feels really soft to me. I can absolutely 100% agree with that being a yellow card. Absolutely. And if he gets another yellow in the next game, I would agree with him being suspended for the third game. I'll just go on record saying that. But giving him a straight red with no prior offenses in this game, that's a lot to ask for such a subjective call. Did the ref have the ability to do that? Yes. Is it the right judgment call? No. I mean, what were your thoughts? Because I think you were telling me offline you think that's a red, right?
Well, no, I mean, it's a to me, it is a ticky tack call. Yes, I've seen it. I've seen it be called a red before, but I tend to lean more towards what you're saying. And he hasn't. If he had already been on a yellow, I get it.
Sure.
I
Totally.
get it. Give him the red, he's off. But he hasn't received a yellow. I don't even think Pep had actually drawn a foul or actually been fouled anyone the entire match. I think this was his first offense. So to me, it's like I see both sides of it. I see, there's a clear intent to try to either kick or trip a player, which can be, depending on the ref, can be ruled red. But to me, if I'm reffing, regardless if it was an Orlando City player,
Right.
and this is his first offense, I'm going to give him a yellow. I think it's a deserved yellow, but it's just the timing of it. And make no mistake, Pep's got to be better. Pep's got to be smarter. This is regardless. This like you said, for all intents and purposes, this match was lost. It was to me. You're going back home to play. And to play for your season and in front of your home fans for the first time ever in a playoff match, and now you're going to miss it because of being hothead in just a moment. And while I may not agree with the red, you can't put yourself in that position, and definitely with what's on the line here. So, again, I think it's more of a ticky tack red card, but what are you going to do? Like you said, or like Dean said, he's going to appeal it, and we'll see how that goes, but I wouldn't hold your breath. Before we move on from Charlotte FC, man, do you have anything else you want to talk about this match before we take a look ahead to the next match?
Yeah, two things. So I felt like Leo Abada was giving the ball away. 6 ground duels, 2-1, 1 aerial duel, 0-1. Possessions lost 9, but I'm looking at the numbers here. Pep Biel actually had a worse stat line than Abada. He had 7 ground duels, 2-1, 2 aerial duels, 0-1, and 11 possessions lost. So, and plus the red card, obviously, at the end of the game, which, first offense, he didn't do anything else really wrong or negative to the other team that I saw for the, other 92 minutes of the game until this happened. But I thought Liel was a liability, but I think him and Pep both were not doing us any favors on the possession game. And Liel obviously did have a shot on goal. He had basically a .3 xG. Carroll only had a .14, which is about the same as Pep Biel. So Carroll didn't do much attacking wise that I saw in 70 minutes of play. 0 shots on target, 1 shot off target. Meanwhile, Patrick Ajiman in 21 minutes of play had .2 xG, more than Carroll did. He had actually had a shot on target, 5 out of 5 accurate passes. Carroll only hit 50% and had 4 accurate passes. So, I mean, Ajiman was just a better player in this game than Swiderski, like without even taking into consideration that he played for 20 minutes. But you got to give Pat more time. He's a better player than Karol Swiderski. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, man. I think it's an interesting dynamic we have with Carroll and Pat. I think on one hand, it's like, okay, Carroll's been in for 70 minutes, and Liel and BL, they've been running this back line, and then you throw on Big Pat with his size and his speed and athleticism. It's a lot for a back line to deal with, so maybe the back line's worn down a little bit, so it makes it a little bit easier for Pat. But I will say the form that Carroll's been in, you know, has been the best that we've seen since he's been at the club. And these past 5 games, with the exception, obviously, of the first playoff match. And I don't want to see him be a player where in the big moments he kind of goes to the wayside. But we in our playoff match against the Rebels last year, he wasn't really up to snuff. And Big Pat comes in, scores a goal, and is threatening. There's some players that are just up for the moment, and this is the way I look at it. If we come in, because Carroll's going to start again in Charlotte, make no mistake. So if we come out that first half and it's 0-0, it's 1-0 Orlando, and you're kind of chasing the game again, I'd like to see that. You got the season on the line. You need to go ahead and put Pat in at half, and that's just me. If you're up, if Carroll comes out that first half, man, and he scores a goal, whether it be a penalty kick or a free kick or whatever, and he's got that confidence or whatever, you got to. I think you stick with him a little bit longer. Obviously, the situation dependent, but I think if you're chasing the game in Charlotte after the first half, you got to make a halftime sub.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I felt like around the 55th minute, maybe like 55 to 60, I'm like, okay, we need a sub. We need Ajman on. We need to do this. Get Vargas on for Liel, make some changes. And there was no indication that was coming for Charlotte. Several minutes later, Orlando makes their first substitution, like you said. The greatest English footballer that never was, Duncan McGuire. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty weird, man. Danny Brams is over here putting out the GIF from that Netflix show. I forget what it's called, but it's like the cartoon character going, subs?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that was the vibe. And then we have a group chat that we're in, and friend of the pod, Alicia, is like, all caps, subs, question mark, question mark, question mark. Like, I think everybody in the fan base was on the same page, except for the people making the decisions, which goes back to the coaching aspect of this. I think they went in with the same game plan they had against DC, wear them out in the first half, and then come out strong in the second half. But there was no spark. There was nothing that indicated they were capable of pulling it off, right? I mean, I'm at a loss with it.
Well, and I understand that, but my thing is Orlando is a significantly better team than DC United. They're attacking a Facundo Torres, Ojeda, Enrique, and Gulo, and then even when Muriel comes on, is significantly better than DC has Christian Benteke. That's what they have. That's right. All they relied on. Orlando's front four is extremely good, and on their day they can be one of the best in the league. So to me, definitely when you come back home, let's kind of transition into the next match where Friday night, 7:30, Bank of America Stadium, the first ever playoff match in the history of the club at home. Everyone needs upper bowls open, and they will open up more sections as need be. Bank of America needs to be an absolute madhouse. Yeah. And obviously me and Luke will be there. We're going to be amongst it, meeting people, talking to people, getting people's thoughts on the game. So keep an eye out for social media to be posting to Twitter and Instagram, just getting predictions, getting how the fan base is feeling after the first game. And you can find us on Twitter at QCS Pod. You can find us that's mainly where we are, but you can find us on Instagram, Queen City Soccer Show _, and then QCS Pod on TikTok, correct, Luke?
Yeah, QCS Pod on all the platforms, and you can just search for that or search for Queen City Soccer Show. It'll come up. We have our link tree on the Twitter profile. So if you click that, it'll have all of our links, including the podcast itself, so you can share these episodes. You can give us a rating and review. We very much appreciate that. And be on the lookout. We'll always have more content coming on the YouTube and TikTok. It's just really me doing the editing and working on this stuff. So all the blame can be put in this direction. But if you do have any experience with editing audio and video and you want to help out and join our team here, we'd be happy to have you. Just reach out and we can have a conversation, because the more help we get with this, the more content we can get out to you guys. And that's what we're all about. So, Friday is going to be huge. We're going to be covering this as media. We're going to be, hopefully we're kicking around the idea of doing a live show, which we can stream directly to our YouTube channel or to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever it may be. So, we definitely have stuff in the works here. And Friday is the biggest game in Charlotte FC history. So I hope you will join us there.
Yeah, and like I said, it needs to be an absolute madhouse because Charlotte is going to need everything they can. Obviously, they win this game, they go back to Orlando. They lose this game, season's over. So they got everything to play for. Backs are against the wall. We'll see how Coach Smith has these guys ready to come out and play. See what the lineup's going to be. I'm intrigued. But yeah, I'm very excited to be up there Friday, man. I'm Halloween Thursday, so getting the kids out and all that good stuff and taking them trick or treating, and I thoroughly enjoy that. And then Friday, followed by Friday, the biggest game in club history. So, good little end of the week, specifically if Charlotte can pull off a win. Anything else about Charlotte FC before we move on to Crown Legacy and USL?
Nothing right now, man. I mean, we're allowed to have a bad game. It's a best of 3 format, so we're still in this, and they're going to need all of us loud to turn the tides on Friday. So it is very much still a contest. It is as much of a series as it was. Right now it's a 2-game series. It was a 3-game series. Now it's a 2-game series. It's as simple as that. So I'm still
that's
excited.
That's the benefit of not having of this not being an aggregate thing, because if they come to your place and they're already up 2-0 on aggregate, specifically if away goals are in play, man, it would be an extremely difficult match for Charlotte. All you got to do is win. That's all you got to do is win, baby, win. So it's very ecstatic. Crown Legacy. So MLSNextpro, Crown Legacy had a massive match Saturday night. And against, oh Lord, I'm having drawn a blank. It was Columbus. Am I losing my mind there? No, it was Columbus.
Yeah, so Crown Legacy was playing against Philadelphia Union 2.
I lost my mind. I'm so sorry.
Up in Pennsylvania, and this is a game that I believe you were watching from your phone, and I was just following along on the score tracker, trying to get a sense for what was going on there as I was out and about.
Yeah, and I'll say, man, the Crown Legacy, obviously this is the second season in existence. The first season went phenomenal, better than anybody could have expected. The number 1 seed in the East going into the playoffs, but you get put out, unfortunately, in the first round, or in the first game of the playoffs for Crown Legacy. And then you come out, you're the 8th seed. You go play the number 1 seed in the playoffs this season. Put them out with a stoppage time thriller. This match specifically, you go up to Orlando. I'm sitting here thinking still about Orlando, but you go up to Philadelphia, and you make this. I was fully expecting this to be like either one of two things, either a very very close game or a Union blowout, and it went. Union 2 went up in the 28th minute, 1-0, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, I was like, oh, this might not be good. But credit to Crown Legacy, man. They played a great game. They dominated possession, dominated passes. And then in the 88th minute, Dylan Singh gets a goal to tie it up again. Another just drama for Crown Legacy. So to send it to extra time, They go through both halves of extra time. Nobody scores, so this match goes to penalties. And unfortunately, man, Union do prevail on penalties 4-3. And with each penalty, and Crown Legacy was up in this penalty shootout as well. Adunze made a phenomenal save, and then we just had we had a pretty bad penalty kick that was just easy for the goalkeeper to save for Union, and put them back on level terms, and then Union just saw it out. I know you said you were just kind of following along on your phone, but any thoughts on this, man?
Not really. I didn't have a chance to go back and rewatch it, but I know the penalty shootout is a heartbreaker on this one. Tiger Smalls with the miss on penalty kicks, which basically clinched the game for Philadelphia Union 2. And I
Yeah.
mean, also, I want to just give a shout out to the Philadelphia Union folks, the fans up there. I think we've been pretty cool with them, and we have Jose, who's a friend of the pod, who's a beat reporter up there. But they recently, actually, I think right after this game, the backup goalkeeper for Union, Holden Trent, passed away at the age of 25. And so, just sending out thoughts and prayers and some love to the Union folks. Um, that's a good team. They had a good season, and it looks like they earned the win on this one. And it's always, I mean, we know as Charlotte FC fans how much it hurts to lose a player, like a member of your family like this. So I just want to throw that out there for them.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, man. It was it's heartbreaking to see. Um, yeah, absolutely. Thoughts and prayers up to them. And I was watching the match on, like you said, on my phone because I was at the Greenville Triumph match to close out the season, the regular season for the Triumph. They played South Georgia Tormenta FC, which he was actually a part of Tormenta. So it was they had a little moment of silence before the match in memory of him as well,
Oh,
which
no
was
kidding.
really really classic.
Yeah,
With
I had
the
no idea.
Yeah, so that was really cool to see. Unfortunately for Tormenta, Greenville absolutely smashed them. It was 5-1 final. Like I said, I was in attendance, took my kids, and I mean, realistically, from the opening whistle, man, Charlotte just absolutely dominant. I mean, Charlotte, geez, I am on one tonight. The Triumph absolutely dominated, and yeah, so they get they win the Peach States Derby and get some peaches, man. Get the trophy with the peaches in it, and it was just a really good game from a Triumph perspective. Liam McKinnon, the man of the hour, uh, just absolutely dominating again. He is the official Golden Boy. He won the USL League One Golden Boot this year, and
Barely.
well deserved. The dude has been on fire all season, and yeah, I mean, just big ups to Greenville Triumph, and I'm excited because the playoffs are getting ready to start for USL League One, and this is the sixth consecutive season that the Triumph have been in the postseason in their history. So it's I'm thrilled for the Triumph. Hopefully they can make it on. Um, I'll give you just a second here in a minute, Luke, to talk about the Independents. But just looking at the playoff bracket real quick for USL League One, you have Union Omaha playing the Richmond Kickers, and then you have the Triumph playing one Knoxville End, which will be a home match for the Triumph because they are the higher seed. And then you got the Hellstorm and Spokane playing as the 2 and 7 seed on the other side, with the Flamingos and Ford Madison taking on the Charlotte Independents, and that game will be played in Madison. So, did you? What's some thoughts on the Independents? Give me some Independents news and takes right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That was another game that I was following along with on Saturday night. I'm at a Halloween party. So for the Charlotte Independence action, I always rely on the Mecklenburg Reserves, the Slack channel for them, and I follow along with the commentary on it. Try to keep up. This seemed like a wild one because you had in the first half a red card for Richmond. You have Independence, up a man, and then a goal from J.C. Obregon, who is the runner-up for the Golden Boot for USL One. He is unstoppable, unflappable, and had a very strong case for that Golden Boot until the very last match day, in which your guy pulled ahead. But yeah, it was a lot of rotation. Independence has been struggling with injury. They controlled most of the contest all the way through, attacking possession. But, Richmond is one of those teams where they're not good, but any given day they could surprise you. So you can't count them out. In this one, though, in the second minute of added time, the 92nd minute, they had a player collect a yellow card, his second. So another player sent off. So it was 11v9 for the last bit of extra time, and they may be shorthanded going into that USL first round playoff game against the top of the league, Union Omaha squad, who is the favorite to win USL Cup as well. That being said, I would not want to play NC Hailstorm. Northern Colorado is undefeated in at least their last 5 matches. They have the highest goal differential, I believe, in no, they have the tied for the least goals conceded and second highest goal differential in USL 1. Charlotte Independence plays Forward Madison, who actually dropped their last game of the season. But that's going to be a tough one on the road for the Independence at Forward Madison. Once again, it comes down to that injury report. I think if Independence gets their players back, if they're healthy, they can beat anybody. They can definitely make a run. But we're going to be pulling for some upsets in that, Spokane Velocity and Richmond Kickers. We're pulling for them, so maybe we can get a home game down the road. But it's not looking like that would be the case.
Yeah, and this is the Independence's 5th straight postseason, so not too shabby for the Jacks up there in Charlotte.
The USL One runner-up from last season, looking to make the championship game again 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah, absolutely, and and this all kicks off this Saturday for I don't know for the Independence. I'm assuming it's this Saturday, but for the Triumph. This kicks off Saturday, and I am excited about it. Like I said, Friday, the Charlotte FC match. Saturday, got some USL 1 playoff action. So I'm excited about that. Luke, man, before we get out of here, do you have anything else you want to discuss? Anything else on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, the Ascent remain undefeated. We have the big playoff game on Friday. I think that's monopolizing all of our attention right now. The biggest game in Charlotte FC history. Arguably the biggest game in Charlotte soccer history, at least in the last 30 years. And it's what a time to be a soccer fan. We have a lot going on. Western North Carolina Relief, they have at Bank of America Stadium. I saw the pictures. It looked absolutely incredible. They raised almost $25 million for Western North Carolina Relief, which is incredible. And, shout out. I know, obviously, we're on record with our opinions about the sporting side of the ownership, but David and Nicole Tepper donated the facility usage, Bank of America Stadium. They donated all of the concessions and the beer that was sold so that all proceeds from that event could go straight to Western North Carolina. And they, obviously helped to organize, along with Luke Combs, that entire event, which sold out in minutes. So just absolutely incredible effort. Governor Roy Cooper was in Charlotte for that event. They did a press conference with some of the artists, with David and Nicole Tepper, with Governor Cooper. So everybody really coming together to support the folks who need the help the most. So shout out to those artists who pitched in. Shout out to the Teppers for helping to organize it, and the state of North Carolina for doing what they can to promote this kind of an event. It's it's not about tourism dollars. It really is about helping people. So I think it's cool that you have the state and local governments going out of their way to put on an event like this and cut through that red tape to make it happen on such short notice. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean that's
100%.
really like your moment of zen for the day, right?
Yeah, dude.
Like we can do
This
some good
was
stuff.
yeah, which was awesome. I mean, I had my best friend who was the best man at my wedding. I've never heard this dude, seen this dude listen to country in my entire life. He is a like heavy
Let's
metal,
go.
very hard rock type of guy,
Horns up,
and
baby.
him and his wife actually went up to that, bought tickets and went up to it, and he sent me a ton of videos, and he said it was probably one of the best concert experiences of his life. Just the different, Caleb Presley from Sunday Conversation and Barstool Sports, he hosted it,
Oh,
which
cool.
would is which is hilarious. He's a local
Yeah.
guy, played football in North Carolina. All these local guys, Eric Church and Chase Rice and obviously Luke Combs and Cheryl Crow there, Randy Travis. I mean, just some massive, massive names
James
to
Taylor, not necessarily a Carolina boy,
Taylor,
but yeah,
yeah, Billy Strings. I mean, just some massive people there to raise money for the people that are hurting still in the Western North
incredible.
Carolina front. So that's pretty cool to see. Yeah, I would have loved to have been there, but like you said, the tickets sold out in a matter of minutes. So
Yeah, man. But I mean, we got that concert. We got a lot of opportunities for folks. I'm seeing it seems like every day or every week I'm seeing more towns are opening up. I just saw that Grandfather Mountain is opening back up as the roads to get there are becoming more accessible. So, I mean, if you want to take a vacation, a weekend vacation, or support an Airbnb, I got a good friend who's in the American Outlaws who owns property in the mountains, and that's part of their income is renting out this property. And he said, the entire fall and winter slate has canceled. So, we want to help the people on the ground, but like he told me like first and foremost help the people who need help. But like if you know anybody looking to go up in the mountains and vacation, like our property is accessible. We would be grateful for anybody who wants to book our property. Like come up, spend your money in the towns with the businesses that are open. It's all that priority list of, first and foremost, stay out of the way from the people who are doing the help and the people who need the help. But there are a lot of businesses that are open that are going to be struggling. So if you can support the mountain communities, that's definitely something I would encourage you to do.
yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
All right, man. Well, that's all I got for now. We got a very hectic weekend here. I'm going to look to do a post game spaces after the Friday night playoff game in Charlotte. Dean Smith is having his weekly press conference on Wednesday. There is a chance I will return to the press conference to bring our listeners and our followers some coverage of that, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. Obviously, wish we were coming back home with a chance to close this series out. And you know, again, like I stated earlier in the podcast, we need Bank of America rocking. I have no doubt, and I have complete faith in this fan base that they will show up and show out. Just looking forward to being up there. Looking forward to just being around that and taking it all in for the first time ever in this club's history. Playoff game at home. Don't forget, man. Just because Charlotte's playing Friday, Saturday, if you're in Charlotte, get to a watch party, watch the Independence. If you're in the upstate South Carolina, go to the Triumph game. I mean, support this USL1 playoffs because it's a big deal. And again, it's just a big weekend for soccer. Obviously, the big one's Friday, so I want to see y'all out there.
All right, cool. Well, follow us on social media at QCS Pod. I am at Level Up Luke, LVLUP_Luke. That's my partner at Cole_Godfrey. And we'll see you guys at the bank on Friday for the crown.
Let's go for the crown.